Yeah, it's crazy. Right. Okay.
20 seconds.
20 seconds and counting, boys and girls. Someone tell a joke. I told a joke last time. Didn't go down very well.
I only know German jokes. I don't tell them anymore.
Anymore. They were banned since the war.
So an advance warning for anybody that doesn't want to. Actually, it's time. It's time. It's showtime. No? We are now all live.
What the fuck?
So, Bok, if you want to stand up proudly. Proudly has now joined us in the... he's a proud owner.
Can I show my tits?
You can show those titties on the stream.
You may show those titties.
Woo! He's what himself.
His print looks better than mine. This isn't faded like my fucking thing.
It looks good, doesn't it?
Yours being washed 5 times already, probably.
I'm not wearing mine. I'm ashamed of myself, guys. But I'm wearing something. I'm wearing my Superman T-shirt, unfortunately. So, because I was working out this week. So welcome everyone. This is our inaugural, roughly 10 minutes of chit chat and nonsense. So for all those people that just come in here to listen to the news and enjoy that on YouTube, you will have about 10 minutes from now. So you can wait until the 10 minutes. Please don't pester me in YouTube channels anymore about it. This is our show. This is the way we do it. We're not a Redacted or any of those other guys who do it dead serious or a Nubifire. This is a fun show and it's a live stream show. So tough. You've been told. No, I'm only joking. I appreciate the comment. We've looked into it. It's very tricky because we like to do the talky bit at the beginning, keep it flowing, so that people come in this period of time. You forget when this is a live stream, we get up to people flowing.
Warm up, get those warm up go in.
But we will try and put a post on the YouTube channels where we indicate, potentially where it starts. But we always talk about bits of StarCitizen in between all this stuff, and we kind of talk about if any of us have played StarCitizen this week. Between the last week, has anyone played it? If any of us has played it, but can't talk about it. He's like round circle, kind of nodding. Yes, no, yes.
I can actually say I've played it, but I definitely can't talk about playing it this time.
And Bok, you said you haven't really played StarCitizen, is that right? Is that what you said? Or
No. Still waiting for 3.5.
Waiting for 3.5, which I think a lot of people are. I think it's pretty dead from what I was watching on Twitch streams and just generally just seems everything's kind of just everyone's just waiting for the big 3.5 drop, which should be
saw a new guy. Forgot his name, but he got like 2,000 viewers last week. I think it was on a Wednesday or Thursday.
2,000 viewers.
Yeah, probably somebody who already had a big following.
Chris
started
Apple?
to play StarCitizen. Yeah, something with apples.
Apples, Chris Apples.
Yeah.
I've seen him a few times. I think he swings wildly between 2,000 and 54, it seems, or 24.
I was amazed.
It's quite a wild swing, but that's normal. That's StarCitizen. I don't know if he's front page. I don't know. I have no idea. I've never jumped in his stream. I've always been unable to catch his streams properly. But
okay,
it's good. Enjoyed.
Yeah, I watched him for a bit, but just enough to see that's a cool guy.
Well,
maybe put someone for the podcast again.
Put him on the list.
Sometimes.
Yeah, for sure. Put him on the list. To be fair, there is actually always new people streaming StarCitizen, which is always new gamers. I think we spoke about it the other week, or about the fact is that there is one of the things with StarCitizen, there does tend to be a good turnaround of players. People come in, they play the game, they realise it's not ready, they go away again, but they've caught the bug, I think, and they're ready to come back for these big patches.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those patch surfers.
Oh, good evening, Tutamon. How did you know about the stream? We were going live without the official Twitter tweet out. I'm surprised you didn't realize. How did you? How did you not know? No, I didn't link him in. How did you know? You must be. Your phone must be very, very relaxed this evening.
we tried to prevent it, Tutamon. We failed.
All those. Yeah. No, they didn't let me do it. I was like, one more time just for fun. They're like, no, Madness, you're terribly evil. Like my sadistic side was just going, press the button, press the button, press the button. No. So I have played StarCitizen, as I always do. I always play at least once or twice in the week, just flying around doing a little bit of combat. But then I kind of didn't do combat because I was bored of combat, and I was like, I don't really want to get too dialed in on it. So I went and tried to do the missions. 2.5 hours later, I hadn't completed a single mission. And it wasn't through lack of trying either. I think when I first logged in, before I even got into the game, I had a 30k crash. Then I got into the game, and then somebody stole my Cutlass Black, which was hilarious. They jumped into it and stole it. Then I managed to then claim my Cutlass again. I took off and flew directly into an asteroid in the darkness because I couldn't see it.
Nope.
Then I picked up a mission. For a delivery. I only had, because I was a criminal, of 4 ratings. Because when you're a criminal, you don't get missions. Of course, you don't get very many missions. I only get 2 missions, it seems, when I'm a criminal, which is 1 delivery mission and an ECN mission. And then now and again, I get a personal mission to meet people. So I was like, okay, so I picked up a mission to go and do this delivery. I didn't know where it was. Guess where it was? It was Hurston. These missions have timers on them, which I didn't know about either. So I jumped to Hurston. Literally, it must have been about 30 seconds from the end of my jump. Maybe the mission ends. The mission has been abandoned.
Nothing has changed.
Do you even play StarCitizen?
Yeah. Have you ever tried it?
I literally was like, you're driving me to Jumptown to be a murderous. So I did take it out on Aurora. So if you were that Aurora, I do apologize to you. But just understand that I had done 2.5 hours and I'd gone nowhere, gained nothing. And you just happened to putt in front of me when I had my size 5s on my glaive. And, that was the end result. Was that made me feel good for a few moments. I'm sorry, but I just had to vent. And you were the poor little putt. So if you were that person, I do apologize. I did get a whole lot of karma immediately after when the game crashed again for another 30k and I had to reload in. But anyway, we managed to, but what was kind of cool was, that was it. I forgot to say, yeah. So then I did go back. I picked up a Rico mission, delivery mission, did all the bits, talked to her, went, collected the box, came back with the box, couldn't quite figure out where I was supposed to drop the box off. And as I was probably 23 meters, I think, on my stream from it, the mission abandoned. The mission abandoned again. Mission is completed, whatever, stopped. I was like... That's exactly what I did. I was just like, there's no words can describe how I felt in that moment of just despair. It was just despair. I felt despair and sadness. And I was like, okay, well, cool. Well, we tried it out. So now I know what the missions are like in 3.4 and have been in 3.3 and 3.2 and pretty much from 3.0 onwards. So now it's very much a case of I'm waiting to see what the missions are going to be like in 3.5.
Well, now you finally realized what we had to do all this time while you were out for combat.
Yeah, like you guys have had it hard.
Experience. Yeah.
You've had it hard. Really hard, Bok. Like, how do you guys cope? You don't. You go play other games, obviously.
We don't.
That's the only...
Yeah.
We don't.
How do you keep the hope?
StarCitizen, and we go play something else.
Honestly, this is to chat and to players out there. How do you guys keep... I honestly don't know how... Because I can keep the hope because I know that the combat's getting better. Generally, it does... I have something to do and combat is fun at most... When it's good, it's really good. But that is brutal. Like, how do you keep that positive vibe that StarCitizen is going to make it when
you just
that level of brutal?
Do a podcast every Monday and share that joy.
Yeah.
And that's for YouTube as well. How do you just response on YouTube? Like, how do you do it? How do you keep that zen going? Like, because I don't know how.
This is something we talked a little bit about with Toby the other day, and I was saying how I understand that going forward, like having the Moby glass and picking up the missions, it's all immersion and great, but we really miss Tessa and the ICC missions, because even though you're repeating the same mission over and over again, all you had to do was get in your ship, take off. Now, admittedly, that's quite difficult for me, but take off, go to the ICC station, which was like, by the way, that was like a minute jump, not even a minute jump, like 30 seconds to get there. 30 seconds, boom, you're at the ICC mission. She's talking with that sweet voice in your ear hole, giving you a mission, and you fly off and you do the mission. And then when you kill the thing or pick up the stupid little box that keeps fucking beeping and flashing and you couldn't find it, never again will I whinge about the stupid little flashy boxes in the ruins that you couldn't find before, because that's 10 times easier to do than a mission at the moment. 10 times easier.
The 12 pirates that were spawning in,
Yeah.
12 times the audio.
Yeah.
Oh, that time, yeah.
Yeah.
Fuck you! About 20 bandits go, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you.
Hey, that was when the AI could actually kill you if you weren't paying attention. The AI actually
definitely
could kill you in that first mission, that first wave, but, they actually could kill you. And I remember sometimes being drawn in by people trying to get the kill, and then you get drawn in, next thing you know, there's like 4 or 5 pirates around you, and I'm like, I'm going red here trying to kill, I have to back out,
Stupid cutlasses that wouldn't die.
No, Jesus.
Yeah, no.
But that stupid wreck that kept moving every time I flew my Aurora near it, and it kept blowing up my ship.
Yeah. Trip
But
down
that
memory
was
lane.
more fun than now, and now basically I would just disband the missions and go out mining or fooling around and that kind of shit. Yeah.
I don't know if it's more fun. It's just it worked. Do you know what I mean? That's the way I look at it.
I think it'd be nice to have a combination of both. So some missions you like, it's not necessarily picking up for your mobiGlas. Like the ones where you go face to face from the mission givers, they can be you land at the planet and go and pick up the mission, and then there should be a little, why take the ICC out? They could have still been there. There could have been something that people could have done in the interim if they didn't want to go to a planet or do something, or they wanted to work around a certain area. It would have been even some of these delivery missions could be more when you're becoming an area. When you explore to an outpost, it senses you're there, and it's like, boom, oh, you're an outpost, or why are you here? Come and pick up this box and take it somewhere for me. It didn't, almost like, I suppose, like picking up distress signals almost, rather than actually going through your mobiGlas to pick everything up. And I know it's not going to be the way it goes. I know it's going to be through the mobiGlas, but this is something I got. This is what's in my little soapbox that we can talk about a bit later. But it's just about like whether the game loops should be in at the moment and things like that. So it's like that's generally what it's all about.
Yeah. Well, what about the distress calls? That was actually still a thing they can implement or give back to us. Just give a mission over the radio and. Get the waypoint and go out there, and
it depends on the subsumption, doesn't it? It depends on the complexity of these missions now. The missions are like super complicated, from what I understand. Like they're meant to be like constantly flowing and moving and becoming something incredibly amazing, which they're not, by the way.
I think it's also to do with the fact that they don't want. I don't know. It's like because we got like a mission manager. It's almost like they don't want us to have a forced mission you didn't accept. You got to. It's like without consent. Gotta have consent first before being shafted.
Yeah, I mean, the only mission that I do that repeatedly that works for me is the ECN missions, and they don't work because the AI is garbage. But I only do it because I actually get paid. That's the reality. It's a mission that works because I get paid at the end of it, guaranteed payment, and it's good. All the other missions, I don't feel like I'm guaranteed to get paid. Something is broken in some aspect of every single other missions, it seems, that I want to not guarantee payment, and that always concerns me. And it concerns me going into ArcCorp, because we'll talk about it in a bit, but there's going to be a whole new set of missions, and anyway,
does the Covalex mission still?
Covalex. I think it is something kind of to do with Covalex. You go there and you can do something, but I think it's part of something.
But it's not like we used to go in and it just gives you it when you got there.
No, I don't think so. I
haven't done Covalex for so long.
That was you had to do that as part of a you triggered it. Either you triggered it by picking up one of the things or recordings, or you did it by you did get I think that's how you did it. God, it's been so long since I did it.
No, it's just the recordings. You go in and you'd go to the first recording and it'd start reading to you. And then you go through and pick up the other recordings. I mean, maybe that's still in. I don't know. Like I said, I haven't been there for so long. If anyone's been there, they can let us know. But I liked that sort of thing. And then, like, again, that's the sort of exploring type missions you could have that would help exploring. So if you went into a random outpost on a planet or something and you picked up one, you could do exactly the same thing. Pick up an audio disc. It's like I'm going exploring and I haven't been back for days or whatever. And then you go and find out where, follow a breadcrumb of trails, I suppose. But I suppose that's going along the lines of what missions do we want to see. There's probably a little bit more work involved, I think. I don't know. We've missed some of the old stuff.
I was going to say,
back
just by the way,
2.6.5.
By the way, for everyone, Miz is actually in a fishbowl at the moment compared to Buck and myself. Neither of us are actually in. Miz is actually in a aquarium at the moment. I need to add some bubble effects. He's Aquaman right
it's
now.
It's a fish tank, but you zoomed in too much. So it's like it just looks like I'm sitting in the fish tank.
I got to make it. We're all kind of zoomed in. If you go far away, it'll look weird unless you... Yeah, never mind. Anyway, sorry.
What?
Watch the glass.
Aquaman. We need to get... there was a cartoon show as a kid where they had three guys. One was Earth, one was Air, and one was...
Captain Planet.
Fire.
One was Earth, one was Air, and one was Water. And the water guy was green, and the air guy was blue, and the land guy was yellow. It was a really old 80s cartoon, like Commando, Commodores. I can't remember what it was. We should get one of those. There's like a trailer at the beginning. I've forgotten what it is, but never mind. I remember
to be there.
No, it was dope. Like the green guy had like a tash. He looked like my old man, which was funny as hell. And I had the toy. They were really big. They were like about that big figures, action figures, and you kind of plug in their suits, and they had like holes in the suit. They had holes in the arms, and you could plug in different things. But anyway, it doesn't matter. Random shit. So actually, shall we jump into? No, it wasn't Captain Planet. Jump into ATV.
Sure.
Shall we jump into ATV and kind of get the ball rolling on terms of ATV? So, actually, before we do that, very briefly, so if you are new to the show, I'm Littlebitofmadness. I stream StarCitizen and other games. Miserable is...
Miserable.
Pretty much.
Stream anymore.
He doesn't stream at the moment because he's heavily under NDA, and you paint for JRDF, who do a load of the models and sets and stuff for CRG. So Miz is currently very busy doing something or other. I have no idea. He always tells me he's busy. He's probably painting China dolls for all I know, but he's painting something. We can assume that he's painting spaceships. Woo! But he could be painting figures as well. Or it could be just painting his nails. It's perfectly possible.
Both.
Painting, yes.
Toenails.
Exactly. And Buck, you are a streamer as well? Part of the Asylum stream team?
Yeah. I usually stream StarCitizen as well, but as of right now, I'm streaming The Division sometimes, a little, until 3.5 drops, and then that will be the end of The Division for a while. And until I get burned out on 3.5, which I hope not due to the flight model.
We'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Because
if people want the flight model to be the gameplay, Jesus.
The rest won't do it for me. That's all I can say in advance.
Really? That's a concern. Okay, genuinely out there for people who are playing this. If you are seriously thinking that the flight model is going to be your gameplay mechanics that's going to keep you entertained, damn, seriously, we got some low expectations on people. Honestly, Bok, dude, that is crazy. We got a flight model now. It's not going to be that much different. It's still going to be, the ship's going to take off. You're going to fly to a location.
I don't know. Haven't tried it yet.
Yeah. I know you're right, but
maybe it's even more crap.
Maybe he's going to love the flight model that much that he's just going to take up racing, and he's just going to do the racetrack over and over and over and over.
I don't like racing. I want to do the dogfights, but I know for sure that when 3.5 drops, hopefully this week for us, Wave 1, that I will spend 2 hours for rebinding all the keys and buttons.
And the rest.
I think.
Okay. Fair enough.
I think they said
enough,
don't
fair
bother transferring your user config over
Start
because
from
it's
scratch.
gonna
Yeah.
work. Hate this
I don't
shit.
mind. I don't mind.
Okay. So, and that's
Poor
Bok.
Biz.
And you can catch all of us under these names on Twitch. So you just www.twitch.tv and then / and then
Yes, sir.
Madness, Mr. G and Bok. And you can catch us and go give us all a
And
follow.
if everybody has any questions, feel free to put them in chat or do !question and bring up our question form. We're more likely to answer it if you put it on there, but we still try to answer chat as well.
Yeah.
And finally, if you're watching this on YouTube, feel free to put questions on the bottom in the comments in that thing underneath, because we'll then answer them next week.
Yes. And don't forget, if you do enjoy it, to hit that subscribe button on there and hit that follow button on Twitch if you like it. The shows are hosted on my channel and they're hosted on Miserable's channel. We alternate between weeks generally as a rule. So, yeah, or unless we're both traveling. So Miz is on holiday or I'm traveling with work. And this is a fan-done thing. We all have real jobs and real lives. We are not run or owned. Nothing is official from CIG and all of that stuff. We do show leaks, although we've had a few things where people have commented. We had, I think, either the last week or the week after, we showed a leak, and we had the person who sadly had his stuff stolen from the official Spectrum channel. Came on, he was in our chat, he went in Discord and was obviously through a barrage of frustration, I think, in our direction. I think Miserable responded incredibly professionally and far better than I did. But that's what Miserable was really good at doing. And like we, at the end of the day, we do show the leaks. It's mostly to explain a story. I'm not really interested in talking about whatever the person's kind of the details of what they're doing or showing and that stuff. It's more just to say, hey, look, this looks pretty, or I think that this flight model is kind of talking about is better than what I hoped, which is what it was. So we do show sometimes the leaks. I will be very clear to express on the channel before if we do show something that's a leak. So if people don't want to see it, you can turn away. I will give you ample time if people are really adamant they don't want to see it. Please, obviously. But at the end of the day, we are a news show. We do like to show what's out there and talk about it.
Someone just shocked Bok. He just looked like someone stuck a rod up his ass.
I don't know, man. Didn't Sophie hear that?
No.
Madness was like in a sudden 200-300% in me. So
No, it didn't.
Loud?
Happens to me.
scared the shit out of me.
Was I loud? Did I get close? I'm sorry. I get.
No, it
wasn't.
distorted.
It must have been in some error.
Discord?
But it didn't happen to me. It was fine. I don't know.
I get a little bit excited. I do start to kind of I start feeling a bit like one of those like 80s rock stars. I should go glam up a little bit, whatever, and then start grab the microphone and like kind of thrust in against it, like yeah. Anyway, move on. So yes, anyway, that's kind of the spiel bit, and then I now know when I will tell people that this is when the podcast kind of officially starts, effectively. But we did kind of, so I mean, like if I put a timer on this, you missed that bit before where we did actually talk about StarCitizen. So it frustrates me.
We were actually talking about StarCitizen, so now you've just restarted.
Fucked it up. I've just ruined it. I'm sorry. I've just ruined it. Never mind. We're professionals. Okay, so we're going to go.
It's all good.
ATV.
Just skip ahead when you hear us talk.
ATV. Here we go.
It's pretty.
So this was what they showed us. This is ArcCorp. This is
Go again.
This is what they showed us. This is the Coke can. And it's got fizzy stuff that sprays out from the Coke can, and I don't know if there's on this picture. Which one is this? The same one?
I think there's a separate one with just a Coke can on it. I think.
I don't know, where is it? Nope. Which one's the one with just a Coke can? This one. Here we go. There we go. And then this just shows the work in progress. And
glorious.
And it kind of.
I was going to say something, but I better not.
It kind of looks like dandruff,
I was thinking something else, but yeah.
Well,
with a shower.
Yeah.
Shower, dandruff.
I wasn't going to say it.
It's the reverse. It's the reverse of the geezer that we showed about the other day. It looked like a penis. That looked like it was coming. This is kind of the reverse of it. It's kind of like coming down on your head type of thing, which is quite interesting. It's again. This is like I don't know. I did like I said, visual effects many years ago now, and the whole kind of like the way things would interact with objects and stuff. That's kind of been around for a while. So I'm assuming the technology is obviously in the computer performance and power has increased so much now, where we can now do that in games rather than, whereas before it was only for film because of the processing power and rendering times, whereas now obviously it's improved so much. That's probably why it's now reaching finally now into games and stuff with all these bodies colliding with stuff, which is great. I mean, it adds to, if you think about the weather systems that we're going to get, that's kind of cool. You'll get snow kind of landing on you and compacting and stuff. Now, I'm not like the shower, but again, it's like, it's cool, but it's not like revolutionary. Like, it's not. Is it? Am I going crazy? Like, we do get that in games now, right?
Well, not really, because I mean, so I don't know if it was Bok or Dark Force, one or two I was watching that was playing Division 2, and the storm comes over, and you start seeing all the rain, and apparently that's like really well done. I think you see it splashing off the cars and off the off the people and everything else. So it's it's not new technology. I mean, whether they're just saying that we've managed to get it to work in CryEngine, maybe it's a different engine and it's harder to do. I mean, obviously the beauty of this is, yes, it's showing it on a physcan, which is like a hologram type thing, which looks cool. I mean, I think it's a bit more to say like it's interesting because like the holograms would kind of interact with you, whereas normally a hologram you just walk through. So it's kind of a little bit of both. But I mean, the good side is that this is probably technology that they will use in future for like the weather system and things like that. So it'd be interesting to see how that sort of evolves to storm clouds and rain, and when you're out on planets and you've got the different atmospheric weathers and how much it interacts with you. Will it make you wet? Will it like interfere with your clothing? Are they going to go to that sort of extent? And that sort of thing.
Here's the thing. Do you think that it's a complete fucking waste of time that it interacts as it's a hologram with you?
A waste of time?
Yeah, like I'm just being blunt up. That person that would say, how much fucking time did they make it so that the object interacts with the person, where they could have just said, it's a fucking hologram. It can walk through it. Who gives a toss? Save yourself the hassle and get it done quicker. I'm being that cruel person here. I'm not actually, thinking like that. I think it's fucking cool, but I'm just playing that devil's advocate.
If the team had the time for it to implement it, no. If they have loads of other things to do, then I say yes.
Okay.
It is kind of a little bit like we were saying earlier. It's like, well, what things have you? Why are you choosing to flesh that out as much as you are when you could get that done and then some? But then I suppose that's probably art's done by somebody else, and this is the animation team. And like you said, if this is linked to say like the weather system and that, then that is something they're going to need in, whether they're doing it on the pop can or something else. Yeah. Like you imagine it in the new caves that are going to come in about 3 years' time. You get water dripping down from the ceiling. You'll have that splashing on you. But I know what you're saying, and definitely, it's hard because I suppose we don't know the game development and the inner cycle on what order you would do things, and it kind of feels like it's a step too far than what you need on first pass. Whether it may be, like I said, if it's put towards something else, then maybe that's why they're doing it.
Like if I said to you, like I don't know what this is. I don't know. This is the VFX guys, so this is a whole team. So their specific job is to create visual effects at the end of the day. So ultimately, this is obviously what they're doing. I'm assuming that, like we said, this is for the weather system and for maybe a bigger tool implementation. So cool. It interacts with the bodies, and I want to agree slightly with my evil side, which says I didn't necessarily need it, and I hope that it doesn't cause any issues, like in terms of performance issues, for something that probably wouldn't have really ruined the effect. You could have easily had it coming down and you could walk through it.
So what you're meaning is, even when the game's live, say it was finished and out tomorrow, did you really need that interactive effect?
Probably, like they would, in my opinion. I honestly.
But you could. I mean,
it's kind of.
I do get you with that. And there are times when I felt like that with a lot of the things they're doing. It's like almost like the interactive coffee cup machine, or the, like if you walk through your room, are you going to kick an empty bottle across the floor, like? And because the problem is, like I said, with the interactive, say, coffee cup. Once you've added one, it's going to be really odd if you can't interact with everything. So then, what does that mean? Do you go through and interact every crisp packet that you see, every bottle that you see, or is it just going to be like things. He said, "Well, why is this coffee cup special, but this beer glass I can't pick up or something?" It opens up a bit of a can of worms to a certain degree. So it definitely.
Yeah, it's exactly, and I just kind of curious. Like, I mean, like, at the end of the day, like I said, this is a department. Their job is specifically to work on effects. It's an interesting effect. Obviously, it's tier 0. It's very, very basic. Obviously, looks really, really basic. So yeah, but it's cool. I mean, it's cool. It's cool. It's nothing you can't really say anything other than that. It's cool.
It adds to immersion of the atmosphere. It definitely does what it's supposed to do.
For sure.
Yeah, whether it's needed is a different option, but it definitely, it does add to the scene.
Yeah, it adds something.
I think in was it Altered Carbon, where they had a lot of holographic stuff and things like that popping up as you walk through, and they were like very specific adverts, and I can't remember if stuff like that sort of interact with him as well. And it's interesting. It's definitely like probably getting inspiration from stuff like that, pulling it out and thinking, oh, that looked cool when it happened.
Yeah, I mean, I would have been more impressed if like they were to show you like like a hologram, like where it shows information directly related to your character, like kind of like what type of ships you fly the most. Like it can collect data on the ship you fly. You say your favorite ship that you fly all the time because you're a combat pilot is Origin or something like that, or your favorite ship is, Anvil, and so when you come in, you're getting more Anvil and maybe advertisements thrown at you or something related, like a kind of a cookie thing, like kind of.
I think we will see that. I think that is cool. Something we will see. We noticed you landed in a MISC ship.
Yeah. Oh,
why not tune up your freelancer today or something like that as you're walking through? Trying
Sounds
to sell
like Google.
Your ship.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of
Google, Amazon.
Yeah, it drives you nuts now. So why not put it in a computer game, right? My wife was on the webpage looking at that thing. I'm not got any interest whatsoever in crochet knitting or whatever it is, or whatever the thing is. It's like I have no interest in this.
Freelancer. Other people that landed freelancers have also looked at things.
It's a stolen freelancer. I didn't want to. Oh crap! They are security alerted to security. Run. So. It's cool. What I was really, really impressed with though is it looks tremendous. Like it just looks more alive in terms of just with all the animations and everything else kind of pinging off and popping off. It looks as dead as shit because there's no NPCs in there still. But in terms of the overall kind of the look of ArcCorp versus what we had before, it looks more like the vision I think they have obviously is that kind of like neon city, like say Blade Runner and kind of thing going on, which is kind of cool, but it desperately needs more NPCs and people bustling and hustling, because it's like a dead ghost town. This feels like one of those like what's it called, Vanilla Sky Sims
films.
yeah, like when everyone's I feel like I'm in a kind of an alien movie where I've landed on ArcCorp and everyone's dead and some virus has wiped everybody out and you don't know what's going on and everything's kind of like going on,
Yeah.
Which is kind of cool too.
What should they do? Should they up the server count, the player count on the server?
I think right now that's probably what it would be a very cool thing to do, because at the end of the day they seem to be the AI is miles off, it seems like. So that's my opinion, to make it look a bit more of a filled out, more interest world. You need to bring people in, because the NPCs are not
make
doing
a
a
hot
good enough
spot.
job. I massively impressed with the level of all the branding and stuff they've added in. It's great, like all the logos and everything look fantastic.
Worries
and the
me
names.
a bit.
I love all the. What do you mean?
I'm very afraid that they are maybe, I haven't seen it by these pictures, but overdoing it. Like we're entering area 18, and boom, there's all these neon signs and other stuff in your face, but I don't know. I hope it's really got the Blade Runner style. And that it's not too much.
This is what the old one looked like.
Yeah, that's what. Yeah, Mrs. Lick's showing you what the. Let's bring it back. That's what the old one looked like. You got it there?
Yeah. It's green screening out a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, it's green screened a little bit. Yeah. But I know what you mean. It's got the
There's no
signs. There's no
if you turn the
signage.
chroma key off mine, it would work. Yeah, there's a couple, but not much.
Hang on,
There's like
hang
two
on.
screens.
Okay,
Seems a lot more low rise as well, a little bit.
Color.
But yeah, there you go. So that's what the old one looked like.
So
There's
if
a
you
couple
compare,
of billboards,
compare
signs,
it.
but yeah.
so we can compare it to what we've got on this one. There's so much more atmosphere to the new one. You know, that especially at night time, you can see it just looks.
Yeah, definitely the time of day as well affects it.
You know, for sure. And the hologram features and everything they've got going on. I mean, I think they've done a great job. I think it looks like throw NPCs in, throw noise, audio. This is one of the things I've been saying. Like, desperately need to have that audio effect of people hustling and talking to each other, NPCs talking to each other. Like in The Witcher, when you walk past somebody, you can pick up missions from just standing next to someone and listening to somebody from a few kind of they're talking, whispering in the corner, and then all of a sudden you say, "Oh, I picked up a mission." Like that is what I desperately want to get more of from StarCitizen, and they're building the world, and then I'm guessing it's like we build the dollhouse. And then we buy the dolls to go into the dollhouse. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know if any... That's the kind of the way I kind of envision StarCitizen these days. Whereas before, it would be a case of my parents would buy me the action figures. Well, let's refrain from dolls because they would buy me action figures. So they buy me action figures. And then eventually I would then have enough,
Dolls.
Christmases. Eventually then we'd get the action playset area, to play on. Or we'd spend ages doing Dick Tracy Island from Blue Peter and do it ourselves.
Dude, I had my He-Man and Skeletor when I was young with the Skeletor castle, and
At the same time?
at the same time, yeah.
Did you get the He-Man figures first and then the Skeletor thing, or did you get
Well,
the Skeletor first? And
to be
then
honest,
the figures?
first I got the He-Man, then I got the He-Man castle with his throne, which you could turn, and then the trap went open. Then I bought this big, huge ass spider he could ride, and then we had Skeletor and his. Wow,
You fancy
awesome.
fuckers, all I got was a cardboard box.
Hey.
And an imagination.
Hey, like I got mostly cardboard boxes, and then I got like
I had hand puppets.
Puppets. Socks.
Michelangelo
Nice.
turtle. I had one Michelangelo and one Leonardo, and those are my two turtles that I had. And that was it. Whereas the kid next door, he had the van, the blimp, the bloody, everything under the sun. And I was just like, yeah, but my Leonardo's way harder than your Leonardo. That's the way I kind of. But no. Anyway, that's just a silly kind of like silly little thing. But they seem to be building the world first, and then a little bit of build the world, and then populate it with
the mechanics afterwards. Yeah.
mechanics.
One of the things with going back on the signs and all the different things. Well, I meant socks, nasty, but yeah. The nice thing with this is, so working with JRDF, you know that they do the replica boxes and stuff. Well, they've been told that they're supposed to keep to in-game logos and stuff. So it's actually quite nice seeing these being fleshed out, because it means when they design new boxes or PC cases, they will use these actual colours and these brand colours and things to make the boxes. So if you want a certain box, you make it through one of these brands. So it's pretty cool to see, because they told us a long time ago, wasn't it? They literally had like a small team working on creating just made up brands. So it's interesting to see how they've come with that, and I think they've done a pretty good job. Like when you see it from them walking in or flying past, so they definitely look like brands you could imagine being in the game, or buying stuff from. I think they've done a good job.
Have you seen how many iterations there are for the Dumpers Depot sign?
Yeah, there's quite a few.
I was shocked.
Yeah, I've got one to paint, and it's like, well, which one am I going for?
Well, this is kind of interesting because, this is kind of like what they showed about ArcCorp. Now, we have some other bits and bobs to show. So, just kind of like a history lesson, because this is kind of a good one. We have what ArcCorp looked like 5 years ago. Okay. So, this is what they originally pitched, the vision of ArcCorp. Okay, so this is... I'm going to turn the music down as much as I can. So this was their original kind of pitch. Obviously, we had the visual drawings and stuff, and kind of like where this was what they originally posted and how they got to like
year?
This was 2014, I believe. Hang on.
That looked actually quite cool.
Do we think that the planet's going to look like that?
And so it was a full. So ArcCorp obviously it's a full planet, meant to be obviously a full city, I believe, or kind of equivalent, all terraformed. And there you go. This gives you the full history of kind of what it is. I mean, when you see the old like character and stuff, it's like you can see where the improvements have been made. But then I in terms of the yeah it's fascinating to do with the all the details on the kind of the shading and the lighting and stuff. That was one of the things I noticed they've done such an improvement on. But it still wasn't that bad. Do you know what I mean? Like when you see all the, you kind of go like they seem to be. This is why I think a lot of people get very frustrated, because they showed us all of this stuff, and I think a lot of people assumed based on this like everything is really close to being done. Do you know what I mean? And I can understand that. Like people would see this and go, well, this must be finished, right? This must be close to being this game. Look, the guy's walking around inside this world. It's coming.
It means that they spent a lot of time. I mean, don't forget this was pre procedural planets. Mm-hmm. So they had started creating this when they thought this would be the only zone. And the same as when we had Area 18 that we could actually log into. That would have been... So the Area 18 that I just showed up on my screen with the cogwheel, that would have actually been the scene that we would have gone to. Had we not had planets and you just kind of land at a station, I think that's what you would have got. And so like this is like assets and everything from them creating that. I don't think they've scrapped all of it. I mean, when you look at some parts of it, it's definitely still ringing out through the new ArcCorp. And I wonder if, obviously, this zone, this thing they made, there is no good anymore because they used the procedural technology. So it kind of changed a lot because of that. And it is a shame because, yeah, you see some of this and you think, oh, they've done really well with this, and then they have to go backwards. But this is, I suppose, what they're hoping to not have to do anymore by making all the tools. So instead of just keep fleshing out, because like we're saying, oh, why isn't this done? Why isn't that done? So instead of keep fleshing out all these zones of making something, they're working on the tools to then make these zones. So hopefully next time they'll be able to make ArcCorp and it'll be ArcCorp rather than have to then take it apart because they've invented something else to go in there.
Yeah. I mean, this is really, really long ago, and you can see some of it, but like it just, for me, it's impressive. Even here, they were kind of showing.
Even the arm that they created.
Look at the light. Well, yeah, you'll see the arm. They actually did an arm, like kind of salvagey army type of thing, which is, like I actually hadn't seen this video, I don't think, before. So until I did there's always loads of great videos that I've never seen, and this video I'd never seen before. There you go. There's all the dumpers, depots, logos, and all the rest of them. Back then.
Well, I would have been satisfied with that design. But yeah, it always can get better.
And then they show what's kind of like, again, this is one of the things that we talk about. We really want is to see more of the actual animation of things actually working and moving to do things. It's one of the biggest complaints I had with Anthem was that that EA, they showed the walking creatures, the walking machines, and then in the game they did nothing. They just stood stationary. And that, for me, when I see this, it's like, this is dope. Like, that's what we want to see inside the Reclaimer working, doing doing shit, like the claw doing something. That's a claw actually working. And
that's awesome.
And that was 5 years ago. It's like, and they what? You just gotta go, what? 5 years ago.
But anyway, I mean, if they've had that 5 years ago, does it give you? So this is interesting. Does it give you and everybody more faith that they can do it and will do it, or does it make you think, what the fuck have they been doing?
Well, it does a bit of that. I do think that it does produce a little bit of like, what the? It's definitely an education into game development and like what goes on. Maybe you build a game. You could build 3 games before the game is fully finished. So that was made. Let me just check the video date on that one. June 25th, 2014.
Almost
when
on
I
my
backed.
birthday.
Wow. Like, wow.
So again, the other thing with that video as well is don't forget where they was making that area. It was also just that area, so it would be easier to load in. They can afford to have higher polygon texturing, model, lighting, everything. And that is what maybe one of the things that I worry about is that although we're going for high fidelity, at the same time, are we going to lose it because of this whole massive open expanse that we're having? Because we're having these big planets, will we lose that sort of level of detail because our PCs and computers won't actually run it? So because they've already said they've had to flatten out some of the textures and stuff to make sure that it's more viable for us to be able to run it and for it to like the faking the lights and everything else. So it's like we're getting more area, but are we losing some of the aspect of the game because of it?
I don't know. Isn't that what OCS will handle for a bit?
Yeah, definitely. Because they've been doing things where it costs less resources but still looks as good, which is what they're most aiming at. So it's going to be interesting to see.
It's still not fully optimized. So and what we have right now compared to what it was then, I think they did a pretty good job. Could still be better though, because what I've seen from ArcCorp is I find it kind of dull. I hope that will change over time. And it will be a little bit more interesting.
Okay, so this is the leak warning now, okay, guys? So this is just a leak warning for everybody. I'm just throwing it up now. Eventually, going forward, if we have further leaks, I'm going to start putting a little thing. So if you don't want to see this and you're wanting specifically to wait until you get to enjoy the next one, just don't obviously leave the channel because this won't last for very long. Just turn away now. Maybe go get yourself a drink for a few moments, whilst we briefly just quickly show a couple little pieces from the Evocati. Now we have a little list of pictures. I'm not going to show all the pictures because, like I said, I don't want to spoil it too much, even for myself. But we do have a video of something which I thought was really cool.
Yeah, everybody wants to experience that crash for themselves the first time they go there.
So just because we're talking about this is again just to really show like what we're talking about in terms of the world, because like we saw, this is where I get. By the way, one of the things we talked about the leaks before we talked about the show, okay, because we're very kind of like interesting about whether we're going to show them or not show them and that kind of stuff. And if RTV and ATVs actually did their job a bit more and gave us some bit more content, and there's a lot of this stuff, honestly, there is no reason why they couldn't have shown us a lot more of the stuff that they've already shown us on these goddamn leaks. I swear, CIG, I think, are actually happy about the leaks. I know this is controversial, this is my opinion, no one else's, but I sometimes think that they actually, it creates like some sort of artificial hype bubble, because it's like, oh, it's leaks, it's special, but it's like, CIG could seriously just kill this off so much quicker. One, by tightening up their security, and two, seriously, there's nothing on here that we don't kind of already know about, so it's not really feels like that much of a leak.
All of you that have just tuned out for the leak because he said the leak's incoming, and now we just had
now
a
you know,
and now tune back in again.
All right,
turn
away again. It's coming now. It's coming now. Ready, grows old during madness. Ready, steady, go. Okay, so this is a little fly through. So this is a shuttle. So there is obviously some sort of shuttle vehicle or some sort of, I don't even know what the vehicle is, but there's something inside the city which takes you around. Which is, I'm guessing this is from maybe where you drop off or land. I have no idea, but this kind of shows you kind of like this going through the city, which I was like, this looks really cool, like really cool. I was like, really, really, really cool. And what I would love to see more is like some more of the other NPCs, whatever, flying past, like I didn't get that sense again. It's still this lacking, everything still feels like blocks and things. It's like, and pictures and images, but it's not got those. But tier 0 of 5 years, we just talked about 5 years ago, they showed us tier 0.
5 years ago was a little block that you could walk around in 5 minutes.
True. This is a full. This is just one area, though. It's still not a full planet, though. You can walk, you can fly over it, but you can't go into any of it. You only kind of go into one landing area. Okay, so that is that leak. And then,
do we really have only one landing area on ArcCorp?
They've only talked about ArcCorp landing area. So all of this. So this is Mission Giver. We've seen her before. Again, this isn't really a leak. We've already seen her. They showed her in the video. So this is the city in the daytime with the Vanguard flying over it. Again, it looks beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. I can't wait to do it myself. It's going to be stunning. Pictures don't do like anything. A picture never does it justice. It's like seeing pictures of the pyramid until you physically go there yourself. It's never really the same.
Sunrise pictures incoming.
It looks incredible.
Yeah.
And
Get
that's
ready for
obviously
fucking Twitter to blow up with
Twitter.
screenshots.
See, when you
simulator again.
When you see that in the daytime, Miz, it doesn't really look that much different to what we had before. Seriously, when you see it in the daytime,
actually. It's quite nice.
Mm-hmm.
No, it looks good.
It looks pretty similar to what we had before.
Is that a ship?
That's a Gladius. These are stolen off of people showing mistakes. That's a Gladius that's got jam. Yeah, Gladius has got jammed in there. Which was the same as that Cutlass.
It's not one of those new rides where it's got the ship attached to the ball and it goes round. You sit in it, it goes. And just turn the thing.
Yeah. And then we have obviously there's the kind of this is there's the shuttle vehicle that you can pick up and it will shuttle you around. I'm assuming. And then there's again just a window, and then there's the hangar. And then there's the thing is there's apartments. So that's kind of that's the list. That's it. That's the leaks. I'm not going to show any more of the. Let me just check and make sure I'm not saying out things. Yeah. Okay. Well, no, I am going to show one more. Sorry. This one. Arc City Flight. So apartments.
You back in.
Apartments. That's it. No more. Just the fact that we're talking about apartments. So that's the last of it. Okay. So to do with apartments. And so what I was going to say is we don't need to worry. You don't need to worry too much about the apartment guys, because if you don't think the CRG's one's very good, and we have an appointment, there's another game coming out which is in its single player mode, has created another world full
with the same colors. Wow.
And interesting.
Looks like the same
and it has an apartment as well. And you were talking, Miz, about interacting with everything. These guys, the Cyberpunk one, which you saw from their video, what you notice is that they obviously have focused it. So, you don't pick up everything. You obviously pick up things of interest, main things. But they've made it so, you're interacting.
And when your room looks like shit like that, you can't tidy it. So people with OCD are going to be fucking stuck with a dirty room.
But you can't
this
pick
is my
up
streaming studio.
Maybe you can buy different versions of it. You can buy an upgraded room and stuff. But in terms of the actual city,
hire a cleaner.
In terms of the actual city, it was I was just kind of going, well, okay, there's that one, and then there was.
I mean, for those of you that like Cyberpunk, I mean, you're going to be happy because it does look pretty similar.
Yes, exactly.
I mean, when you look at that, there's not. I wouldn't say the details on them buildings look outstanding.
Oh no! Don't. This is a really low res. This is their demo, and then I've obviously put it into Streamable, so the resolution comes down. It's it's not super sharp, so don't judge it. It's not like a picture. It's not a StarCitizen. If you look at go back to the cut. It's not like this 4K whatever. Someone's taking a beautiful picture at 1080. That's it's pretty stunning.
Although the quality is maybe a bit less in this picture, the actual game with all the NPCs walking around, what we've seen in the demo, makes it way more alive than StarCitizen right now will be. Yeah. But single player.
I kind of look at it and go, these kind of Cyberpunk's not even out yet. This is going to be out very soon. So, good on CIG in a sense, because they're kind of they're actually going to be getting ahead of Cyberpunk on this one. And I think this is a good thing, because then at least we can all go, they did it before. I mean, I think you could argue, well, they showed it first. But then I'm like, well, no, they didn't really, or did they? Because 5 years prior to that, CIG showed it, kind of, on their other version. So, because there's a lot of people talking about StarCitizen and Cyberpunk. You know what I mean? I've seen people talk about it and they go, "Oh, this is," because people will comment. They say, "Oh, this is just like Cyberpunk." You know what I mean? They will say, "This is just like Cyberpunk," and so you're gonna have to deal with that whole.
Yeah, but there's nothing wrong with that.
No, there isn't. But then it's like first to the pole, like he was first to the pole or not first to the pole. It's kind of like, or he was first, who won, who broke the 4-minute mile second.
Yeah.
It's that kind of like, it gets into kind of, there's the super nerds with the annoyed voices who go, well, actually, technically, Cyberpunk was done in like 1935, that kind of, by some other obscure game on the SNES Mega Drive. You kind of go, okay, dude, back up, dude.
Yeah, well, it doesn't really matter. I think the people that love Cyberpunk do also love StarCitizen and vice versa, and they will be being bought both. Yeah.
But it's all very posh. Now, I think this is supposed to be a question mark. This, no leak. This is original. This is the slums of ArcCorp. So, we are going to, they've shown us obviously a bit more of the kind of the high shine and glossy kind of thing. But like the one thing that, we know when you play, not when you play, but when you see obviously Blade Runner, which is obviously this is heavily influenced on, which is also heavily influenced from Metropolis, which talks about obviously a height factor. The higher you up, the more rich and affluent and the more clean everything is. The lower you are, everything's dirtier and grimier. So in theory, if we go down from ArcCorp, so there should be more levels, will come down into the slum areas of the ArcCorp area, and this is what you would expect to see. This is what I would like to see, and I'm hoping when, as we progress and the guys develop it and work on it, they grow this stuff out. This is one of the things, like, I'm kind of like going to ask you guys in chat and everyone, it's the same thing, is do you think that CIG really should stop adding in new places within and really kind of delve into the ones they have and make them far more substantial and interesting and things to do, or should they keep throwing down loads of tier 0 places to go and visit? Like, should they really flesh them out more, or should they and do more of what they originally concepted to be for the places and really flesh them and finish them? What do you guys think?
Make it a more living, breathing world, they should. But give us reasons to go there. And that's not in yet, or not enough. Tony Z needs to hurry up. God damn it.
Yeah, we definitely... well, they got the hardest job, no question. There's no question they got the hardest job. But, I'm just trying to see if they got... The only thing... Okay, so this is a spoiler, but it's kind of like not a spoiler. Sorry, guys, but this is kind of a spoiler. So what I do know from the notes that were leaked... I do apologize, but they're leaked. That the missions that we're going to get currently that they've dropped... They may get some more, but the missions that they've currently dropped for the ArcCorp, they added a patrol mission to Delamar... Okay, great. Added destroy satellite missions into the Hurston era, and they added additional delivery of mission variants. Now, none of those are obviously for the new ArcCorp area, and I was like, oh, okay, cool. Fantastic. So we've got a new mission giver. So I'm kind of like curious, like what her missions are going to be. And from what I understand is, if this place is a long way away, there better be a damn good reason to go there. Now, I saw from the leaks they showed, I think it looks like the Anvil Hawk will be available to purchase there, and maybe there could be some other ships as well, which we've talked about before in the podcast, where we have hopes for. So hopefully you'll be able to buy your middle tier ships, like we talked about the Titan Avenger and a few other ships that would give people a reason to go there. But like, I just worry, like, if there's huge time to jump to these places, say, for example, you jump to Hurston, you got to do something there, that's a 6 minutes trip. What if they start chaining these missions together? Like, the mission givers start having missions, and they start, okay, you need to do a mission in here, then you got to do a mission off in Hurston, and then I need you to go to Crusader and do a mission there, and then you come back and complete your mission. Like, that's dope in my head. That's cool. Like, that is cool. If the mission pays you big time bucks, that's great. Reference to the amount of time doing it, also very cool. They need to tell that, like, the fact that I just said to you the other day, 2.5 hours, not one single mission completed.
Do it with a timer.
So, like, I love the idea of it. If the game was in the place stable enough to be able to do it, but
you're muted, miss.
I just, yeah, like, what do you? Do you think that with they add this and they add microtech as well, they're going to have to think about the times we get to these places because they're quite substantial? I'm just thinking this one's not close, right? Does anyone know in chat if this is close or not? Because this has got to be at least a Hurston distance away. So it's going to be another Hurston distance from Crusader. It's got to be at least... So you're looking at least another 5-6 minute jump, right? At least. What if it's even NDA? Everyone's like, NDA. No one can say anything. Damn it. It's got to be quite far. So...
Possibly.
Fuck.
And that's
Fuck, no
the
one
only
knows.
thing you got
No
to
one
hear from him.
knows. No one knows. No one can say in chat. No, anyway, look, I understand no one can say anything, but it's fine. But I'm like, there must be something in lore where they talks about the distance. There must be something in lore, right? Someone in looks. I need Paul. Paul, going to be a long time.
Sure.
Okay, so Hurston to ArcCorp, approximately 2/3 Crusader to Hurston on the map. Okay, Lang. So does that mean? Someone help me with the math on that. 2/3. Is that less or more?
3,000 Crusader to Hurston. Well, that means you got to go to ArcCorp, Hurston. So you got to go
Less.
to Hurston. Then
Langston says less. Okay, so it's going to be less. So in theory, you're talking a couple minutes rather than you're talking like 4 or 5 minutes rather than like the full blown Hurston 10 to 12 minutes. Okay, cool. So that's not too bad then. In theory, you could, and if they could chain it in the right kind of order, it couldn't be too bad. But it's going to be interesting how that whole thing happens, like in terms of systems and like how the distances and the times within this area, and then when we get the jump gates. You know, like the distance and times on jump gates. Do you expect jump gates to be a really short time because they're really powerful, and all the length of time is going to be jumping around a system? Do you know what I mean? Like we have now. Oh, lost your book. Do you know?
Yeah, Zoom crapped out.
Do you think that's where?
I don't know why. Zoom.
Yeah, it will Zoom.
Oh, okay.
It's okay, you're back.
Zoom.
You're back.
Yeah, he's back.
Okay.
It's all good.
All
All good.
fine.
It's okay. Do you think that the jump gates will be short time and the jumping around the system is going to be where the length is?
It's really hard to know because obviously the jump gates are meant to be what connects you to really long distances, but then are they going to make these? They've also spoke about making the jump gates kind of like a mini game as well. I mean, this was a long time ago.
Yeah.
So are they going to make it like a 10-minute mini game? You know, where the same as you would be in, you know, you've got to try and get out and dodge things, and yeah, it's.
I always thought of it as like Stargate. You know, when they go into the Stargate and it's kind of like, and then they kind of suddenly, you know, it's like it takes about 30 seconds or 40 seconds.
But then you can set it with a quantum. You kind of imagine quantum would just go and get you there, but.
I don't imagine it's as powerful. Like I've always envisioned it to be like less really cool alien technology that's like they found as like makes them go super fast between the systems. And
no, I think you're probably right there. I mean, I don't know because this is all guesswork, but it probably would be quicker to go through a jump gate than to fly, because if you imagine you've got a long-term time to get from say just Olisar to the jump gate. You get to that jump gate, takes you through. Now, if that was a long time, and you come out in the middle of nowhere the other side, you then have another long time to get from that jump gate to another planet. So, it would make more sense for that part of the travel to actually be quicker, which would seem weird. Obviously, that might vary depending on how far in the wormhole jump gates that you go.
But relative to the other jump,
I mean, I think they don't know what they're going to do with jump gates yet. So, it'll definitely be interesting to see what route they go down.
Well, everyone says, like, you know, they're talking about the minigame experience, but like I'm saying, like, I honestly, like, Miz, I think really does kind of sum it up. Seriously, this will become the longest, slowest American truck, whatever, simulator game in the planet.
Yeah.
You know, it will be painful. So, in my head, I kind of just envisioned it as the big jump gates are like a minute, you know, to get you to a location, and then you have to then do the big jumps within that system to go to places, you know, and that's where all your fun happens because it's your ship as well, and you can do all the bits there, and then I just feel like I'm completely like if you throw in a 10-minute trip to somewhere, then another 10 minutes, and then another, that's 30 minutes of just doing fuck all, really. Unless they make the mini games really, really entertaining, which they could do. It's possible, but then it's like that. I'm not really playing. Like, is that what StarCitizen is? Literally just a mini game within a game. That's ultimately. What do you play most when you're on StarCitizen? I play solitaire most of the time. Most of the time, I'm playing StarCitizen.
I think that's the difficulty, isn't it? It's okay. I mean, so this leads on a little bit to what we were talking about game loops and where they should be in. But it's okay to a degree to have these travel times, but doing it in a single fighter ship where you can't get out and do anything means that you are bored shitless. Doing it in a bigger ship that has no purpose means that you're also like, well, what do I do now? It's
just like Elite Dangerous. Oh, like 28 jumps.
Yeah. But it stops you enough times. You have to scoop some fuel and then.
Yeah, that's not boring.
No, not at all.
Well,
but yeah, I don't know. That's what I mean. It's like the traveling. It needs to be long enough that it feels like you're doing something. You are actually going somewhere.
Yeah.
But it does. If it's too long, it's gonna feel like it's just like you said, just boring. And see the difference between Truck Simulator and that is Truck Simulator. You've actually got to at least navigate freaking roads and bends and traffic. Like on a Quantum Drive, you're not doing anything. You're literally just going in a straight line, letting it roll.
Well, you get interdicted now and again, and then there's going to be the joy of maybe a misfire in between all this, just to kind of and engines overloading. So you get to enjoy. You get to enjoy the occasional power outage.
I started this jump with 2 wings. What the fuck?
It's a brand new ship. What the hell?
Got from a Super Hornet to a fucking what's the tick like one?
The Herald.
It's
just
a Herald because of a quantum jump.
Yeah.
So that the reason I kind of bring this kind of like in terms of times and jumpings and things, this kind of brings me to kind of something that we've noticed that everyone has seen this. If you've been on Reddit and if you've been on anyone's Discord, anyone has pretty much been posting the new 300 series rework, which was leaked recently. And when I say leaked, oh my god, it's literally, we've already seen the 300 series. It's a skin job with a few little vents attached to it. It's like, it's barely, like, if anyone says to me like, oh my god, it's like, it's not. Okay, so I am going to show it. If you don't want to see the 350R, close your eyes now. But I'm going to show it now because I showed my wife this, okay? And I said to my wife, I said, babe, which one do you prefer? And she goes, well, I don't really, first of all, she's like, I don't really like black and yellow. I was like, okay, that's not what we're talking about. Tell what women with priorities about. Don't really like that one. But I said, which one do you prefer? Of the two ships? And she's like, the bottom one. I was like, oh, that's interesting. And she's like, yeah. She says, it kind of looks a bit better for her. It's a bit faster than the top one. I was like, oh, interesting.
Faster. It looks faster.
It
looks more like a Formula One car, I suppose. That's why.
Yeah, looks a bit faster. And I'm curious, like, when chat and stuff, like, what people were kind of like, did we please tell me we didn't, like, I do apologize for anybody that's literally just jumped in the raid. We've been trying to do this so we do spoiler alerts before anyone. So if you've come in, I'm so sorry. Spoiler alert, spoiler. I'm really sorry. We're trying to do this so that we don't get, thank you so much for the raid. But yeah, we're just discussing, obviously, as always on the show. And so, like, which one do you prefer? Like, do you prefer the old one or the new one? And this comes around to like a kind of my wife preferred the bottom one. I like the wings of the new one, but I hate this sloping front. Like, I just don't like it compared to the angles of the other one. Yeah, I don't either.
Does look more, but it does look more like the Origin series, like with that whole smooth, almost duck bill front, or as we were talking about last time when it had that all-in-one type of thing. I mean, the bottom one definitely looks more racier, but then I suppose that's because, like you said, we're used to Formula One looking cars, and it looks closer to the Razor and a Formula One sort of car. Yeah. The top one it's deceiving because it looks like fatter around the cockpit.
Yeah,
backwards, almost like more car ship. It looks less racy.
Well, this is kind of.
If you compare that to the Razor, You look at how thin and sleek the Razor looks compared to that now.
This is what I mean. Like, I think the Origin make two racers, don't they? The M50 is their racer, and this is another racer. This is classed as a racer. Now, I think this isn't actually a racer, and I think they've designed this wrong. And I think that this creates I think this isn't a racer like a kind of a Formula One racer. And I think they need to readdress the way that they're kind of doing the racing.
Racer.
Well, it's not even a rally racing, and what I envision, and I'm going to bring this up, like, so this is we've seen this is in the TV show, The Expanse. Okay,
the stapler remover.
Yeah. There's a shoe. There's a ship called. There's a racing ship, which is called the Razorback. Now, if anyone's seen The Expanse, they'll know what I'm talking about. Now, the Razorback was fucking cool looking. I loved it. I love this. But what they describe this as, this is a transplanetary racing pinnace, I think it's called, or pinnace, or whatever it's called. And this got me thinking about this, and we were talking just a second ago, earlier in the podcast, we were talking about the distances it takes to get between things and to do missions and to do stuff. And to get to doing things is like, 10 minutes or whatever. And I was like, for me, the Origin 350R should be like the Razor is, and it should be a transplanetary racer, not like the M50 is, and the
track racer.
Yeah, those are kind of like Formula One racing, single seat racing ships and stuff. And this one, because they still race it like that, but I feel like it's wrong. I think it should be designed like the Herald is designed to go really fast and kind of gather data and all the rest of it. It's almost like you would take the Herald, and I'm just going to show some more of the cool Razorblacks, like speed, style, and grace, blah blah blah. Like the design of it, it feels like the Herald, and if Origin were to do a ship, they would do. I feel like this is what the 350 should be. Like, in all honesty, like in my mind, it should be able to get you to. I should be able to get to Hurston in a Razorback in 1 minute. You know what I mean? Like, that's the way I kind of envision it. You literally power it up, boom. I think I watched a video the other day about the fast. There's like there's a short show on YouTube. It's really good.
You're almost thinking like a drag rate, like a straight line, boom, sonic boom type bangs, fire there type of thing.
Yeah, exactly. And I kind of, that's kind of, in my head, I was just thinking that would be kind of cool. And like, you could have like a different type of racing in StarCitizen where you have racing between the systems and from like, we have a Daymar rally, you go from this location to this location to this location, and it's kind of spread on just the planet. Because the world, the universe is so massive, we can have a whole different degree of racing with these type of ships where you're racing across it's called, what's it called again? Like, just remind me again. It's transplanetary racing. So for me, I was like, I think the 350 is actually the wrong ship. Like, honestly, I just feel this is the wrong ship for what it is. I don't actually think this should be that. This should be ditched. Sorry to say it. Should be ditched. And you got the Origin M50, and they should go and relook at how they want this to be, and it should be a transplanetary racer.
Because they've tried to make all those series look similar. And the problem is they've got, like, that racer is a completely different function to probably if you had it as other variants for everything else, but a racer is completely different, especially if you're looking at the aerodynamic side of things and that. It doesn't necessarily want all the chunkiness that you're going to get in a normal ship.
And I'm also going to show you the inside as well. Now, this has brought me up onto my kind of like soapbox little moment. So this was, I was talking about the racing and the ships. But one of the things that I've been noticing more and more about the interiors of some of the ships is that they're becoming very, very generic and very, very samey in terms of the way you do things. When I first played the game, there was a little bit more variety and a lot more interest in a lot of the ships in terms of the way you either got into them or did stuff. Now, I knew that created lots of problems for them, head clippings and all the rest of it. But there was a lot more interesting things going on. And I kind of feel like I'd like to see more of that back again in some of the ships, like if possible, because I feel like they're all becoming a little bit.
This is why I like alien ships, because I feel like you should get a different feel in them. They should be different on the inside, whereas a lot of the more human-built ships are definitely more standard. So that is what I'm kind of hoping with the Banu Merchantman. Well, that as well, but the Banu Defender I actually meant to say, and the Vandal one's slightly different, but that's my hope, that we get more alien ships and that they are different. Because I prefer to get away from the more human-looking standard ships, And I say that most of the time, especially when you get those like ones that just look like planes we got now with bigger engines on. It's like, oh, come on, use your imagination.
Yeah. They got a huge team designing, and they got a, I just feel like I know why they did it. We know we had loads of problems, and they've obviously got height issues. We know they had all these issues. Like it's very well documented. But it's like, I think the Avenger has now lost its original door, which spun, and then you used to climb. You'd jump onto the handle and you'd kind of dive into it and stuff. And I really do. I hate to say it, but I really actually miss some of those things. I don't miss the Mustangs one. That's a terrible entry system, but it was unique.
I was going to say, if you go down as far as saying you missed the Mustang one, I'm going to kill you. It's like,
No.
seriously, that fucking thing.
No,
first of all, you couldn't even get under the ship, and then when you start crawling up, it's like...
I liked, but I did like the Avenger one. I really did like the Avenger one. I loved the door when it span and you jumped into. I thought that was cool, and I'd like to. I think it's probably because I liked Memphis Belle when the guys would get into those little cockpits with the guns. I thought that was kind of cool. So
it's
anyway,
kind of funny as well though. Is they said we were going to have like these old ships as like vintage ships, and then they're not. They got these old designs. They're just doing away with them and replacing them with brand new designs. Like they could leave those old ones in as vintage.
I hope so.
But I don't think they are. But it's a shame. I think they could.
Yeah, but it got me thinking. I was just thinking about the racing situation, and I was looking at the 350, and I was going, that's never going to win in a race against an M50 or a Razor in that kind of a racing environment. It's just like I was looking at it going, that's not what it's for. It's like a touring race car spaceship type thing, and so for me, it then immediately got me thinking. Well, then its job must be then to get me from a location to another location fast, which then, because of the Millennium Falcon, and the Millennium Falcon, we all know it did the thing in 12 parsecs or whatever it was, and the idea of smuggling got me, smuggling as well. We know we got the Mercury Star Runner, which I don't know what the numbers on that are, but again, it gets me thinking, like, in theory, the Star Runner should be making that distance jump in my head. I'm going, it should be a fast jumping ship, because you're a smuggler, you want to get around quickly. And so it just got me thinking about the whole racing, and like there's a whole nother racing part of the game which no one's really kind of done, because it's probably fucking boring, because it's just like sitting in a straight line, you know what I mean, not with anything really to do. So it's like, how can they make that interesting?
To Hurston.
Exactly. It's not really quite as exciting as slingshotting yourself around the planet, which is, I can understand why it's not in. But it did get me thinking about the ships, the use of ships, and being able to speed up for you to be able to enjoy the game more, to be able to do other mechanics and other things. So it's like, it's just, thinking process.
I mean, they may well do different races, like people are mentioning in chat, that we may well end up having different types of races, the same as you have a bit like the Daymar Rally. You had different vehicle classes, so there may be different ships that do a different class of race. So you got like the more Formula One style, the more rally style, more endurance, and kind of like have different ships.
But why then do again? This is my point in terms of wasted. In my head, it feels like a wasted ship. I know people are like, they love their 350Rs, but for me, it's like the way it looks like now. It just feels like
for when that comes in. Yeah, because it now means that they can go and make another 5 ships for different manufacturers to fit in with the same race bracket.
But they haven't. I know, but they haven't indicated that ship is designed for that. They haven't. Have they? I mean, does anyone can confirm if they've done that in the Raymore ship? More money. But have they confirmed in the racing world? If anyone's here the racing, that
they haven't confirmed it, but then they haven't really confirmed anything other than saying this ship's a racer, this ship's a racer. It doesn't say what type of race for, and
Okay. Anyway, that was my little kind of spiel a bit. My little spiel a bit. Going back to the forums, going back to Reddit, going back to ArcCorp. Does anyone see? Now I'm going to show a quick video. So, Crytek released the other day their ray tracing video. So we were talking about
ray tracing.
So this is like everyone loves Crytek, but no, like this is their video.
Was that the software ray tracing?
So this is the tech demo, real-time ray trace reflections with the CryEngine. The demo runs on most mainstream contemporary AMD and NVIDIA.
So the big thing is it's AMD and NVIDIA, whereas ray tracing was the new RTX cards. But instead of using the cards, they've now put it in an engine instead.
Yeah.
Which means all those nice RX cards from NVIDIA are less needed.
well, this is it. This is the kind of like, and this, we're talking about, we're seeing StarCitizen. Now, obviously, this is CryEngine, which we all know StarCitizen is built off the foundations of Crytek.
Lawyers may well argue differently about that one.
They could argue, but its foundations are built on it, I believe. They did buy like a lumberyard. Oh God, I don't know what it is nowadays. Jesus Christ, you did just come.
But it is the whole reason why Chris chose this engine. It's flexible. It's moddable.
Just not good for multiplayer.
Yeah. That was the downside.
I think the way I look at it is like everyone's getting like everyone gets their Joneses on about like whether it's authentic or not authentic or whatever. The truth of the matter is it produces way more realistic, far better graphics. That's ultimately its job, is to make things look really, really good. Like the way the light and everything just bounces off that. It looks gorgeous. There's no question.
I need tissues.
Looks gorgeous. And I kind of just go to look at it and I just go, could you imagine what the slums would like in ArcCorp like this?
Sorry, that's still here from my art stream.
For your art stream, was it? I mean, it'd be nice to see ArcCorp eventually looking like that, definitely. And I Nasty mentioned it earlier, but I look forward to being able to actually walk down some of the streets at least. It's like you want to feel like you can explore at least a bit.
It's just, that's just nuts. Beautiful. That's just the way that the reflections and everything is just kind of like hitting the water. It's just like that is just next level. Look, they've even got a drone. Way fantastic. But the one thing they don't have, the one thing that doesn't have,
Mako's drone.
It doesn't have NPCs either. It's the same scenario. It's a beautiful environment with one little drone, hard body drone wandering around. There's no real people or environment kind of messing up the frames. So it's like, yes, that's good, but there's nothing really complicated to mess up the frames and stuff. So
that other bit on ATV kind of demonstrated how the AI in that could mess up the frames in that, which is when they had 1,000 guns firing, and how it ruined the projectile thing, and how that ruined.
We'll show that.
Cool. And let's go with what they've managed to do is the projectiles no longer kill the frames, but that's exactly that. The more people, the more movement, the more stuff you have, the more the resources and things that the game's going to take. And so it's easy. I say easy. It's easy-ish to build a beautiful-looking scene with select lighting. It doesn't have to reflect off anything. And place certain things everywhere. It's a completely different thing when you start getting AI controlled or even people controlled, walking through and messing up that lighting and interacting with it and causing explosions.
Yeah. Look at that, folks! 9 FPS. Woo!
Thanks, Flybo. Yeah, feel free to whisper. Yeah. So I mean, I was impressed but what was good about this is they just said that we were overcomplicating it before. This was another example. Again, it does seem to be a recurring theme at the moment. It's like it seems to be like there's the old team who were doing everything to a really overcomplicated, and there seems to be a whole lot of new people coming in going, "What the fuck are these morons doing? Seriously." These bloody idiots.
Are you still doing it this way?
Yeah, they're like, what are you doing? Like, it's just, it does seem a part of my head kind of goes, it feels a little bit like that. And there's all these new people coming and going, let's just change this shit. Like, we don't need to do this. We can stay crazy.
Is that because the technique changed and the old guys didn't have that technique at that time? Or did they forget about that new technique?
You know what? It's probably a bit of both.
Yeah, sometimes you do get, say, fresh faces that come in that they've got access to newer technology that they've learned, and the other people may not have seen it yet. They do it their way because you do it like Madness is probably like a good example of where he used to hand draw his sneakers, and now he's got like the tablet, so he's kind of learning to cross over. But someone that's never hand draw, but mainly started off from just straight away digital, be able to go up to him and say, "Oh, why are you doing that on thinking you could come in and go, boom, 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 there's the brush, just do that. Oh, no, don't need to do 3 layers. You could probably do that in 1 layer. Because they grew up with that, they know it a little bit better.
Yeah.
And I think it's probably an element, a bit of both. So, you get an element of people, but like Manus is going to do it his way because he knows how to do that.
But it can be
until
slower.
someone teaches you a different way, doing it a different way would be slower. It's interesting. And again, I think this is what we keep going back to it, but it falls back to this whole they're creating tools, because what they're saying is they make these tools and then they can give it to a designer that doesn't need to know how it works. They just know that they press a button and it paints the trees on the landscape or it carves the cave out. And I think that's what the big part of what we're probably not seeing so much is all the hard work that's going into making these tools so that not anybody but other people can go away and create levels, create the lighting effects with less effort. And again, we saw it. It was a very simple thing, but one of the ATVs the other week where he's doing the jet engine thing, and he said, "Oh, we've just added the slider." It's a simple little thing, but actually, to him and to doing that in the future, it makes a huge difference because now he can just slide it along and go, "Yeah, that's how much flame effect I want. That's how much I want." So it's as Ninja's saying, it's like the long game. Got to play the long game sometimes.
Got to play it. That was ATV. I mean, the advertisements, the Coke cans, the shooting. You just showed about. You kind of got back to. That was ATV, and it was
like we've done this before.
It was like the minimum of content. Like literally, like it was like about 9 minutes, 8-9 minutes, I think, of actual content. I think if you want to talk about a minimum, like that is like it was good and it's a minimum. If you do that again and you just have any drop in terms of the quality of what you're delivering, I think people, we're back to the realms of. I still think it's 5 minutes too short. I still get frustrated when RTV doesn't necessarily follow up with the stuff we've seen on ATV. I don't know if anyone else finds that irritating, but I find that drives me crazy a little bit. I know Jared probably must try to, but it does. Like 1 minute we've got like, I want to know more about ArcCorp and the Coke can and the advertisement and I want to know more about all of that. And then RTV's, talking about, which we know it was, which is the guys
kind
who
of disjointed. You could have been talking about the creation of ArcCorp. It would have made more sense, right?
Yeah, exactly.
He must have had his reasons, but it's just whether we sit there and go, but why? I
know. I'm like,
and it's
I really want to know. No, I'm fresh in my mind. Yeah. I want to know what I saw there.
I mean,
it's like a day ago.
At the end of the day, we're all on the cusp of waiting for 3.5. It feels like it would have made more sense to talk about 3.5, not about something like that. IT thing could have been a filler that goes in at any point, right? It's just But I mean, he does say sometimes it's logistics, trying to get people to link up at the right time, and like the devs that have probably worked on 3.5 may still be working their ass on getting it fixed and thinks, no, I don't even have 5 minutes to come and spend and chat to you, let alone an hour. So it could well be something like that as well.
Which it probably is. I would say that's, if you're looking at the reasons, I'm sure that is the reason. But I hope it's nothing to do with the fact that you have one team, the video people, whoever that is, doing their thing, and then you have Jared's team doing what Jared does, and they don't talk. That would be my nightmare scenario in my head. I mean, by the way, that shit happens. Everyone here, I'm sure, if you're working in any business, know that there are clashes between individuals, and there are teams that work on something, and another team works on another thing, and they don't necessarily communicate as well as they should do. I hope that's not the case. I'm sure it's not. I'm sure it's the reason Miserable's talking about. Because sometimes they do hook up, and they used to hook up in ATVs quite nicely. We used to get I do remember, like, they used to be my favorite ones would always have the 20 minutes to 30 minutes long. We get a nice deep dive on it, and then often the RTVs or the calling all devs he would then get those people on from ATV, I think it was often, and then we talk to them, and then they would answer questions there live, and then it was really good. Like, I don't know about the people, but it was genuinely really informative, and I think
we have it sometimes. I do think closer to patch days is when you see a lot of that sort of team disappear. I think that's what it is. It's so much polishing, and they're constantly working on little tweaks of the builds, and they're pushing through quite a few builds a day between the internally at least. And I think it's probably more down to that, the stress of making sure that patch comes out as smooth as possible. And it's like, well, I don't have an hour to set aside to answer questions. We should have done this 2 weeks ago, Jared, or something like that. But It's just the way it is. And for those that are talking about it being IT, I don't think I didn't listen to all of this one, but from what I heard, it wasn't the best discussion that they've ever had, and the best questions. Some of the things that asked weren't that great. However, I think it could have been probably a better IT one. But I think you shouldn't shoot down a subject. It's like, so if it is interviewing the IT guys, you might not, but you don't have to find every RTV enjoyable. There are people out there that do. Okay, so it's not like, oh, we have to appease you can't appease everybody. Some people will find a subject interesting where other people won't. And some people are like, well, I've got no interest other than ships, so I just want to see them showing off a ship. Other people will say, well, I work in IT. I would love to know how they go about sorting the networks out and how they manage to do the logistics of sending the data from one to the other, or how the network code works. I don't know, whatever. I'm not IT. But some people are. So sometimes you do have to accept that as long as it's content and showing you the development, because that's what it's all about, being the development. So as long as, then I don't think that's an issue. It's just that maybe some weeks you'll be going, well, this isn't my sort of thing. But yeah, it's just, I don't think they actually asked them too much about development. That was the problem.
I don't mind. This is what I was saying. Like, I don't mind it when that's the case, but I know, like, in the days gone by, like if ATV had the IT guys on it, like on the thing, I know that usually the RTV is going to have it again. So I'm usually kind of like, well, I'm going to probably fairly steer clear of it, because one, it's completely out of my realms of. I watch often a bit of it, but I usually fall asleep, in truth. Because it's not something my brain just grasps. I have no experience in it, and I have no genuine interest in it. But when they do, obviously, the visual effects one, I find that fascinating. I'm always interested in that. And when they do, obviously, the modelling, like JD does all, and they do all the drawings, I've always loved that stuff, and all the new ships, and very much the eye candy stuff. I'm obviously,
and I've done animation and stuff, so when they show off animation, I'm like, oh, I love that. And I know other people have gone to me, oh, animation, yeah, that's boring. Someone picking up a cup, but you know,
oh, look at pixel.
And but I like the texturing. I love all the texturing ones when they show like the guys who like because I'm mad on the new Satisfactory game when it's coming out tomorrow. I'm like looking at the time, going, I'm hoping at 12 o'clock it goes live so I can play it after the stream. And I'm just like, I love building stuff. So when they show CitizenCon and they show all the building tools and the mechanics and stuff, yes, it can be dry at times, but when they get around to usually showing you how the things get put together and stuff, I usually just like, oh, that's amazing and that's cool, and I find that interesting too. It's just the IT stuff is just a bit, I don't see it. I can't visually see it.
But it's not wrong. No, it's not wrong to not like it, and it's not wrong for them to produce it and show it either.
Exactly like you said, Miserable. You like the texture stuff, the graphic stuff, and I do like the graphic stuff as well, but when you're in IT, you really want to know how CIG IT department is solving things, and you are really interested in that part. Yeah. And when they give that show like they did last Friday, don't do anything. Just skip it then, because it was just it
doesn't help the persona of IT, does it? When
it's like, well, yeah.
The thing is that I think they're a great bunch of dudes. I think they're doing a tremendous job, by the way. I mean, bind culling, object container streaming, we will all agree that what they've done to the game has made the game able to be played, by the majority of us, and to be able to enjoy it. So without question, like, they're stand-up heroes, in my opinion. Like, their team, the guys who do the environment team, the guys that do all the ships are incredible.
All the teams, yeah.
The AI team needs to step up, in my opinion. They're the worst team at the moment in terms of the subsumption and mission. Like, after 2.5 hours of not doing a mission, I'm sorry, you're the worst. You are but the even worst like team. You are the weakest
Langdon,
link. Goodbye.
Langdon in chat, he enjoyed the passion of the LA IT guy, and if I remember correctly, that was Hassan, and Hassan almost fell asleep. He was sitting there like
so much passion is like, ask me something decent, Jared, because
so yeah, wasted Friday.
Wasted Friday? No.
Yeah, for me it was. Yeah.
I had a great sleep. I have to say, I slept like a baby for 40 minutes. It was tremendous. And this lovely comfy chair. But yeah, so that was RTV. Like, honestly, I have no expertise in it. I'm not going to talk on it. So I have nothing to add to that other than,
we have enough things that make us look stupid. We don't need to pretend we understand IT as well.
No. So feel free to ask us questions about it in chat if you want to, but we won't be able to answer any of them. Or they might do, but I certainly am not going anywhere near it. What I will say is, here's a question for you guys. So this is some Reddit questions and some interesting topics. I pick out the little juicy bits that lead to some interesting chat. So one of the things that somebody said on Reddit, which I thought was very true, and I hadn't actually thought about it, and it was to do with picking up people for missions and stuff. He said, player transportation is too risky in Star Citizen at the moment. He says, so we already know that ships like the 609 are built to transport NPCs and players alike. However, it is likely that the pirate population will be too significant for safety. Imagine you pick up a guy, promise him 5k UEC. Once you take off and leave the armistice zone, the passenger blows your head off with a laser shotgun like a stowaway would, kills everybody else, potentially steals your ship, steals your crew, does whatever, does whatever he does.
Whatever a pirate does.
Whatever a pirate does,
You do whatever a pirate.
And so, and I mean, that happens already now. People come on board, they steal your ship. They, people. I mean, I've done it. I've murdered, accidentally.
Steal my ship.
People. It was. I'm not. The number one French streamer and his crew. We did get.
Oh, it was French. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's not murder. Then. That's fine.
Was it a yellow jacket?
It wasn't my finest moment, I have to say. Well, it was a great moment, but it wasn't done. Yes, it was fun. Anyway, but like I say, what do you guys think? How do you guys think in chat they're going to protect it? Is this going to be done through reputation? Is this going to be handled through the law system that's meant to be coming in 3.7, I believe it is, which is going to be able to determine if ships and goods are stolen, and this will stop people from... to be fair, I can't even I can't even sell people's stolen goods, so I don't even know why we need a law system for it. But,
Well, as soon as the market gets in. But yeah, it should be a part of the law system. It would be really cool that if the guy gets caught afterwards, that they would return the ship to you.
Well,
yeah.
This is
call him and here's your door.
Well, this is for you're letting a vampire cross the threshold. Effectively, this is the whole point of this. It's like player transport. This is not like somebody pirates stealing. How do you control that?
You laugh at Langdon, but actually, he's exactly right. You lock the door, so your pilot cockpit section is locked compared to where the transport is. And then, secondly, the idea is you're supposed to be having these. Like loot boxes where you can stash your weapons and things like that. So you just make sure the person coming on stashes their weapons, stows their weapons in a box or whatever before they come on, or you make sure they're unarmed or whatever. And then, I think you literally lock the fronts. Because even now on the Cutlass, you've got that door between the cockpit and the turret and the cargo section. So that I imagine those are going to be internal doors that can be locked to stop your passenger coming.
So we said
they unlock it. Hack it,
lock it, shoot it down. In theory, if you had a railgun, you could blow the doors off it. Get some C4.
You may hear that when you're flying your ship, though.
And then you got 30 seconds to get out your seat, though. Hang on, let me get out my seat really, really slowly. And the animation, just give me a second.
Not only that, once you get out your seat, then you got to go over to your locker, open your locker up, and get your
gun out.
Get my gun out. Hang on, and then the ammo. Hang on, just 1 minute.
Just one more minute. Hang on a second. Whilst I go to my movie glass.
Hang on, safety.
Oh my god! Let me get my attachment. I need to get my attachment to my gun as well. Just put my scope on it, all that stuff. But that is good. It's still genuinely a funny joke that we make, but it's genuinely true. But the way I looked at it before in my head was I was thinking is they could do it so that the Moby glass, so like how you have like a DNA, like they talk about in America they had a thing with a gun. If you put your hand on it, like in a RoboCop as well, when your hand is on the gun becomes activated, and then you can fire it. Or the Judge Dredd was the same thing, a DNA thing. Maybe they could be a situation where in theory, eye retina scanning or like the ship, AI on the ship can recognize you're aboard. And you can potentially, it won't take off unless you're technically flying the ship, sitting in the cockpit seat and flying the ship, or you given access to somebody else to do it. So that way, then the person can never take off your ship. Never
take your eyeballs out.
No. Hey, that's a medical gameplay right there, dude. That's like medical gameplay right there.
Hang on, I just need this to take off your ship. Hang on.
Like Loki, in the Avengers when Loki has that thing and he kind of sticks it in his eye, and then the other guy's like in the safe and it 3D renders his eyeball. That'd be pretty sick. Yeah. I don't know. It kind of got me thinking about like it's something that they genuinely have to think about a little bit. Like, and also you have to think about
mostly
responsibility.
It'll be locked. It'll be locked on the door between your cockpit and the passenger.
But then how many people have
and
had
making
issues?
sure they're not carrying guns.
But there are many issues I've had, like with that cockpit door, that door between the cutlass. I remember there was a patch at one point where it got locked quite often.
Yeah, now, but when the game's out, it's supposed to work.
Okay, it's supposed to work. Sure. Okay, right. That was one, and then we have. Actually, we talked about this the other day on the podcast. Last week we were talking about, like what's the name of the ship that makes habitats, like drops habitats for you?
Pioneer.
The Pioneer. And we were talking about how we should have there's a smaller ship, like a kind of equivalent of a freelancer type of thing, or maybe a bit bigger than a freelancer, somewhere between, which is like your core base, and you build around that to build a settlement off of. The ship basically lands and becomes like a permanent, if you want it to, permanent kind of like hub base. And if you also want to take off eventually, if it's under attack or whatever, and you can fly somewhere else with it and start again. Was that drop tents?
Drop tents. A fucking drop tent ship.
Those 2-second tents, you'll flop.
Pop-up tents.
That's what we need. Blow up tents. That's what we want. So someone's done it for you, Miz. Someone's already done it. So they've taken the Freelancer Max, and we have.
Is that the Max? That's a Reliant, isn't it?
Is it? Is the Reliant? Oh, it's the Reliant. I think it's the. I don't know.
Yeah.
Is it the Reliant?
Yeah,
so there you. So he's made it like home. We've got like little plant pots. You've got your.
This is what I wanted all
undies.
this time for my freelancer.
Like how cool! I was like, that's what we're talking about. Like in my head, I was thinking that's kind of
Look at those pajamas on the right.
ships that can become.
Yeah, they're mine. Ignore them.
That is orange would be Miz. If it was orange, this is definitely Miz's ship. But it was just funny because somebody did it, and we happened to be talking about it last week, and I was like, "Oh, cool, yeah, that's."
Imagine seeing that on another star's landing pad, like something like a. Like
Just
a
do a dirty
traveller,
laundry.
just going, I'm settled here now. I'm just going to stay here. And just
cleaning my
open
drawers, scrubbing them down, get those skid marks
You
out.
got security saying, "Please remove your ship, or you will get up." No, I'm fucking camping here. Leave me alone.
Okay, and then somebody else says, this is another thing they're talking about. Is I think ship owners should absolutely be weapons free in his own ship. So. I don't know whether, but they're basically saying like if you park up a location and somebody boards your ship, like you could be in an armistice zone, you can shoot them. And I was like, well, I'm
guessing he's American.
I think so, possibly. Just it does give me the impression. But I was like, well, effectively the armistice zone is going to be ditched, so you should be able to do that anywhere if you want to. So
yeah.
I don't think. I think it was.
I mean, it's your ship, your rules, right? I can't imagine. I imagine that's how it's going to be.
Exactly.
It's my ship, my rules.
Yeah, and then and then the last one really was his, and then we'll go to other questions we have from YouTube and stuff. And if anyone's got chats, obviously questions in here, we can answer a few of them if everyone does.
Questions.
Feel free to, or topic of conversation. It doesn't have to be just a question. Topic of conversation you guys are interested in, we can discuss it. So we have the 100i. This kind of did get me thinking because we've got the 300, and I don't think the 100's even on the roadmap. And that's kind of a bit of a bum down because what am I talking about? Bummer. Because it's like, just creating new words. That 300 it's kind of like if I'd bought that as a starter, that's like, where the fuck is it?
I don't know.
Like that's a starter ship.
Nobody knows. That's what I'm saying.
That's a starter ship.
And then it drops out of like any sort of development or discussion. It's not a carrot, so nobody wants to know. Nobody gives a shit.
I think that's not cool. Like legit, like not cool. Like the 100i not being in is not cool. Like you sell a starter ship and then you don't even drop it in. Like what the hell? In a year after, like it's not even in a year after when you first were selling it on the roadmap. Unless I'm missing something, and somebody please correct me. But I just don't know where it is. And I'm guessing like how hard can it be? Very hard, obviously, I guess.
Yeah, especially for a starter ship, it's very bad.
Yeah, I mean, I can get other
With
ships because I can get other ships. You know what I mean? But like, not to have the 100i. I even would have had the 100i. I hate to say it, in front of the 300i.
They're too busy like knocking out, like concepts.
Yeah. So, and then actually, there was one other thing which I did see, which is very interesting, which is the rocket launcher. Now, originally, and please correct me if I'm wrong, but I originally believe when they first showed off the rocket launcher, the RPG, it was originally mentioned that it was going to be a Vandal rocket launcher. That was the first time I ever heard of an RPG was a Vandal rocket launcher, and then it's changed to Apocalypse Arms, and obviously these guys do the bigger guns. And this is kind of like, which looks pretty sweet.
Probably the reason it's not Vandal is because they have to design a Vandal weapon, and they probably don't know what they look like yet, even though they're in Squadron 42.
I think maybe they don't want to show us it, or maybe it's in Squadron 42, but they don't want to kind of spoil it for us. So I think I get that feeling that maybe they did it for that, and then this will be the human one, and the Vandal one is probably being designed or is in the works for sure. And we'll see it
Vandal
in
launcher.
Squadron 42.
Shoots at.
Yeah, just fires Vandals, little baby Vandals. That's how they get their strikes, their first kills, screaming at you. That would be quite.
Imagine this.
Just like run.
It just makes you think of like Gremlins.
Yeah.
Gremlins have a little fucking baby Vandal like this big like.
Just fire. What the thing is, the Vandals are really fluffy. They're really cute and cuddly. That's the thing. Just like Gremlins, they're really cute and cuddly. They just fire them out.
And they shed the fur.
They shit.
But it looks great.
I'm looking at the design. If that thing is gonna be resting on your shoulder, then you will have the hand grip with the trigger, and then you have the hand grip for your left hand.
Hold, and then it sits on your shoulder.
Is it not a little bit too unstable?
No, it's resting on your shoulder. That should be fine. It should be fine. Spoken like a person that knows what he's talking
about. If it was like
right.
this and not like that. Weird.
I'm sure they're shooting rocket launchers in Manchester office.
Sure.
I know how to hold it.
So I mean, it looks dope. I can't wait to have it in. I'm hoping it'll be very powerful as well. And I'm like, do you think? I would imagine this is only going to take down land vehicles, and it won't deal anything to do with like it's not. It can't do much to. What size 1 do you think? Size 1 rockets? Would you guess? If you think about it,
what was the
Tumbrel's only got size 1. Size 1. So this has got to be.
That's what I mean. So it's not going to be bigger than that, is it? It's going to be size half.
Yeah, it's only going to be size 1s, but on this one, which is a shame. I was hoping that we would get like freaking size 4s, size 4 missiles, just like huge.
Imagine that, the barrel on your shoulder. As you fire it, you just go back.
Yeah, literally. You got 2 of you guys holding it in. Would be sick. I was just like, or like a size 9 torpedoes. That's what we really need to be launching off the back of these Tumbrels. Size 9 torpedoes to take out things.
You wouldn't bother with the gun, would you? You just literally like try and get a spark on the back of the missile as you hold it. Let go.
I'm telling you, that's what the Nomads would do. The Nomads would do what like Binary Loop did when they had that bug, and they took he took what I remember saying to him before. I was like, oh dude, how cool would it be to like sit on one of the guns and turn it into a hover bike, and then this bug came in, and then literally you were able to take us 2 size 5s and put them together, and he made this insane looking thing that you could ride that was a massive gun. It was and he fired. It was so cool. I was like, I want that. I want that in the game,
Ride the gun.
Just literally ride the gun. Like, what's the movie? Oh, Doctor Strange, when he's like on the bomb going down. That's pretty much what I'm talking about. So anyway, back to that, because I just love that. No, joking. Okay, that's it. That's pretty much it for this week, guys. Like in terms of actual stuff from the Reddit, there's obviously a few other bits and bobs. That was kind of out there. Somebody posted a Staymar sneaker runner picture that was done specifically for an org, which looked pretty good. I don't know who did it, but it was pretty good looking.
Awesome guy.
I
Very talented.
But,
I need an alias. Ario. Is this like?
It could be a little bit of croc.
If I post,
That'd be good. No one would know it was you. A little bit of croc.
It sounds too close to a little bit of cock. But never mind. It isn't me.
That works as well.
That doesn't. Not quite what I'm going for as an alias, but
Croc of shit.
Wow, this is like everyone come up with different names for a little bit of something. There's a lot of variations on that name, that's for sure. A lot of variations.
You're Nike.
So, but what was amazing was just like if I post something on Reddit, I get downvoted. Like if somebody else posts my content on Reddit, which was amazing. Like, by the way, it gets like upvoted like 78 times or something. I was like, that's the problem. I need to not put anything on under my name because it never gets upvoted. Yeah. So we didn't make it to the shortlist, guys. Unfortunately, with that, which was a shame. So CIG.
Wow. You didn't take what you should have done. She should have got the sneaker, cut it out, and then took it on a screenshot on one of the moons with the sun setting.
Yeah.
And maybe a ship in the background, and you would have been way up there. You would have been
I know.
You probably would have been on for an interview. It would have been amazing.
I think it's the only time the person who had the most number of votes and the highest number of votes didn't actually get any recognition. So I was kind of sat there going, cool, that's cool. I think someone's been watching our podcast and doesn't like us. Too much salt.
I hate them.
So anyway, but that was a really good thing to do. But no, in terms of content wise, unless anyone said it's got anything like that, we're done. I think that was pretty much
I got
the week.
A few questions to answer.
Okay,
and then
cool.
we'll wrap it up probably. Yeah. So it was just a couple from YouTube. We said we was going to answer those, which there's not a lot to discuss on them anyway. It's just they've asked them, so we'll answer it. So, Mark Orimolai, sorry, I don't know, just Mark, whatever.
Mark.
Sorry, dude.
You know who you are.
So it says, "What's up with the other languages in game? We got the Jan fleshed out. What about Tavarian and Banu?"
I think they're coming. I'm pretty sure the guy who will have worked on it I would be very surprised if he wasn't already well aware or well running into those as well. I would have figured that's probably in the bag somewhere on the lines.
We have never seen him before.
My response to that is just that, like, you talk about making a full language, which is what he's doing with his Jan, and I can imagine that takes a lot of time. And I think it's probably a case of kind of fleshing out one first before moving on to the next one. And then I don't even know whether they actually plan to flesh out all of them because of how much work it would be. Do they need to? Will they do it?
Yeah, he might also have other commitments as well. You forget he might have said, "Okay, I can only work on this one for this, and now I have to work on another movie." You know, he works on movies and all sorts of other things. So at the end of the day, it might be just a case of he can only work on Star. You know, he might have dedicated said, "Oh yeah, I'll do this for this amount of time, but then I have to go work on a movie and do something else." So maybe the CIG are just waiting for him to be free again to then potentially work on the next load of stuff. That's the
or they pay him more.
Yeah, well, but sometimes it's not always about money for creative people. It's like, he's going to get money anyway because he's one of those people that's just super talented and niche.
Yeah.
So it's more a case of, he's obviously a master of his art and whatever projects are interesting to him. I would imagine it's a case of he's probably taken on, I've done this and I've done this with StarCitizen, and now it's maybe moved on to something else, and then maybe he'll come back and do, they've probably planned it out with him.
Because he was doing a tutorial series, wasn't he, with the language? I mean, did that just stop, or did it come to a conclusion of 4 was enough?
Mac is the person we need for this, isn't it, really? Because Mac is kind of like, maybe next week if Mac's on, you can ask him, and we'll ask this again.
Is he into languages?
He's into
but he's into the Jan language.
Oh, yeah, well, that's what I mean.
We did a couple of streams where he was teaching me Jan as well, which was interesting.
What do you remember?
Nothing.
Anyway, so there's another question that was asked, but it's the same bloke. Why do we not have new lore content on the remaining galaxies? Now, this one, so I know that, so I don't know if he knows, but Astropub or Paul does a load of lore content and does lore. Oh shit, what's it called?
Galactic Historian.
Or a master
Galactic Historian.
history thingy.
And it does. I don't know whether he talks about other galaxies. In all honesty, I know the lore is just being fleshed out constantly, so all that stuff is to come. If it's not there, it's to come. But there's. I don't know how they pick what they talk about first.
If the game continues, if the content does continue to keep dry the way that it has been, I may actually have to start diving in and starting reading start reading the lore stuff in truth, because it's getting to that point where it's like, okay, I'm starting to think that maybe I could do with reading a little bit. I've stayed away from the lore because I feel like, especially like Paul knows, and he said before, like if you want to know about the Squadron 42 story and where the Squadron 42 chapter 1 is going to be and end and start and all the rest of it, it's all there. It's already in the lore. So I kind of feel like it's that. Talk about leaks. That's like the biggest leak of them all. You know, it's like you read the lore and you know the entire story. It's like reading the book before the movie. So I've steered clear a little bit because of that, and two because I don't necessarily like reading too much. So but I don't know in truth, so I can't answer that, I'm afraid. But we will get somebody on who potentially can, and we will keep it as or I'll ask somebody and see what they say and come back to you.
And so the last question he asked was analysing and scrutinising past patches and updates. I noticed that we really don't get what they say we get. For example, bed logout. We might have had it in 3.2 for a second, but we don't get it in 3.4.
Yeah, this is very frustrating. I'm sure you guys could probably talk on it, Miz, because you're part of Evocati and all the testing groups. You probably find that testing, I guess you do it in one and it breaks and then they have to pull it. I'm guessing that's what happens, and then they never come back to it.
But it's kind of annoying because it's almost like a way of having a feature and I agree, it's like vanished and then it's not talked about. It's just like, that didn't work. Okay, we'll stop doing it anymore. So now all you do is you wake up in the nearest, to the 3 stations, isn't it, where you land, and then it's like that's your new home location rather than logging out in your bed and stuff.
Yeah,
and it's almost like making a big feature of something and then it vanishing and then like, shh, no one will notice, no one will see. It's
exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
Let's show them another pretty concept, Sal, and they'll never know that we've taken this feature back out again.
Let's show another.
And then they can work on it to their heart's content without anyone asking. It's like, it doesn't matter. No one knows that it's missing. We just accept it. So yeah, it is annoying. I can only agree. It's like, especially a feature like that, because I haven't tried in 3.4 because I haven't played much, so I don't know whether you can log out in your ship and it stays there, but I don't think you can. I think it just takes you to the last station you were logged out on, which is, I don't know. That's
really depends on the fact if you log on onto the same server again, and that's not always working. Most of the time it's not.
Yeah. It's like stuff don't work, so it's not working.
Yeah.
So eventually, you'll get it. So yeah, that was the 3 questions he asked, basically.
Cool.
What was that? So if anyone else has any other questions they want to ask on YouTube, feel free, ask away, and we'll answer them, or pretend to answer them next week. Or find someone that can answer them.
Exactly. And that brings us pretty much to the end. So, you got one question?
One question on that form, okay. So we'll quickly do that. And then we'll stop it. So it says, it's from Grizzled, and he says, what do you think will CIG build Tier 2 and Tier 3 solo ships to make upgrades for the solo starters, like the Hull A to the Hull B? What do you think? Will CIG build Tier 2 and Tier 3 solo ships?
Tier 2 and Tier 3?
You mean just like... So, like, say you got the Prospector, does he mean like a sort of bigger Prospector that's still soloable? I think maybe that's what he means. Bigger ships that closer, because normally when you go up a bigger ship, it becomes a multi-crew ship rather than a solo ship, I suppose.
Yeah. When will they start introducing those?
No, he said. I think he's asking, do we think they will introduce those? I mean, personally, I think they probably won't. I think the idea is, I think the idea is once you get a certain size, you can have AI in your ship crew to take the other bits.
I think there'll be fillery type of ships, and they'll add them. But yeah, I think they'll do them. It depends what you kind of class as a tier 2. Like, are you saying like a ship that's kind of just does the job slightly better? Because in theory, the alien ships should probably, if they're 100 or 200 years more advanced than us, their mining ship should be better than our mining ship. You know what I mean? In my head, that's the way I kind of envision it. So if I get like an alien ship, it's going to be better than so that'll be like a tier 2 mining ship.
Oh, okay, better, not bigger. Okay.
That's the kind of the way I would look at it. So there will be. It's just a question of what angle I think CIG kind of goes down, if they'll make it so that the ships do a better job. Because at the end of the day, like, we have so many variations of combat ships, and some are better than others at different things and different tasks as well. You could argue like the Saber is technically a tier 2 to the Gladius, which is a tier 1, and the Arrow. So it's already kind of there in that aspect of the gameplay. So I think it will be natural that will happen in the other tiering as well. So yes, I would say yes. And when? Pieces along a string, it's up to them, I guess. That's the way I look at it. That's just my thoughts.
Yeah, I agree. No, I think you put, like you said, with the fighters and that. Yeah, there's just slightly better ones, or it's just slightly different role, I suppose, almost.
I think.
Yeah.
I think you might see
there's components as well which will upgrade it. So your components getting better, make that a better ship as well.
Yeah,
so it's like you upgrade the individual parts of it.
I think when they start to get into the loop of exhausting their money chain, if they're still working, if they still haven't released the game and we're still in this perpetual loop of where we are now, and they're still needing to generate money, I think you'll start to see more of that happening. I think you'll start to see more iterations, and maybe of the mining, especially if they dial up the mining and make it more, more interesting, more rough, another mining vehicle, or, a slightly better one. Yeah, honestly, I think that's the reality. Is the fighting has been in place because that's obviously for Squadron 42. But then as everyone shifts over, once Squadron 42 is done and comes into the persistent universe, you'll see, I think, a rise in the ships and stuff, and the varieties of ships and land vehicles and all the rest of it. Because obviously the team needs to do stuff. So yeah, it could be the next 3 years, could be the next 10 years. I'm not sure. Sorry, but. We'll ask Chris. What do you think, Bok?
We'll ask him, put him on dial up.
What do you think?
The Bok hasn't been paying attention. No, I'm not really into ships at the moment.
I thought you were about to say I'm not really into spaceships.
No, I'm into spaceships, but I have enough spaceships to fly and. Give me other content first, and then some more ships.
Yeah. I would rather have. I want some game mechanics, please. I really want some game mechanics.
Give us tens. Okay, I think that's a good roundup point.
I think so too. I think so too. So we will do our inaugural. We will raid somebody new. I think I have somebody lined up. Ready to go.
Excellent.
So we can go. He's only brand new. I think he's only got like a couple followers or whatever. He's got I don't know. I haven't checked his audio. I haven't checked shit because I've just done it. So we're just gonna go raid this person. I think, and we just go say hello and do whatever you need to do, guys. Just throw some emotes at this person and see if he actually sees his chat. It's always a risk. With people who are down there, unfortunately. But we'll give it a go. Thank you, everybody.
Otherwise, guys, thank you so much for watching. Thanks for joining us. Thanks always for the support and for the sub bomb as well. Very much appreciated, everybody. I hope you enjoyed it. Any feedback or comments, please leave them in the comments. Subscribe, follow, and all that goodness. And the video should be up tomorrow, hopefully.
And go check out YouTube if you're not on there. We're trying to get to 1,000. So really appreciate it, and again, another thank you to all the people that have donated and donated to the ongoing 2,000 year goal for money for the show and stuff. So massive thank you from Ms. myself. I think we're nearly there. So it's pretty awesome. Thanks.
Amazing.
It's amazing.
You guys.
You guys are just blowing us away.
Are we
I can't
rating?
wait. Rating is coming in.
There.
There it is.
Texas. Oh my god, it's going to be all guns blazing.
Yeehaw!
Yeehaw!
Let me collect my mouse that fell on the floor. And thank you so much for watching. See you all next week. Oh, I won't
Thanks,
be here
guys.
next week.
Catch you
I'm
later.
going to Vietnam.
Cheers,
so
guys.
Ms. will be Mrs. Chan.